Hey guys, February is just about over, so it is time for a brand new month and a brand new TBR. Hey guys, if you are new here, welcome to the Book Path. My name is Nicole, and if this isn't your first rodeo, thanks for sticking around. So we are here today to talk about what is on the list, what is on our TBR for the month of March. We have a lot of things going on, so we're gonna go ahead and just get right into it. So first up for the month of March, we're gonna go ahead and dive into our Cocky Hero book club. For the month of March, we have chosen Pompous Paramedic by Melanie A. Smith. Okay, so this is a little bit, the way it's worded is a little weird, so I'm gonna try to do my best on it. So we have Zelda's point of view, which is, life as a Las Vegas fake wedding coordinator has never been boring. Unfortunately for me, it just got a little too exciting, the bad kind of exciting, that lands you in the emergency room. On the bright side, it was a hot paramedic who showed up to save the day. Sure, he's a bit cocky, but it works for him. And now I can't get him out of my mind, which was the kind of exciting until it wasn't, until one date turned into a fake marriage fiasco. Now I don't know if we're really falling for each other or if it's all an act. And then we have Ty's point of view. Being a paramedic in Vegas, I've seen it all, or I thought I had, until I got a call for a fall victim who tripped over a swan and tumbled into a pond. Luckily for her, I follow up with my patients, especially the pretty ones, and I made sure she was on the road to recovery in no time. And by road to recovery, I obviously mean ready to go on a date with me. But unluckily for me, our first date found me waking up hungover only to discover we'd gotten married the night before, or so I thought. Turns out we weren't actually married, but I didn't know that when I let it slip to my dying mother, whose last wish is for me to find someone to take care of me when she's gone. Really, it's my job to take care of people, but with 3 hearts on the line, even I'm not that good, and I know someone's heart is bound to get broken. So obviously we have the fake dating, fake marriage kind of propped in there with some steaminess and wedding fiascos. So it should be some funny humor. Next up, we have our Magical Readathon adventures in Aeldia. And obviously we are going to, I think, what was it that we picked? We started at, that is not it. Let me get my notes in order here. So much to do. Okay, so we had started at 1B, which was right here, and we had gone to 2B, which was a book for the middle left of the shelf. And then, so now we can go any which way we want. So we decided to go from TB down to 3B. And 3B is basically enjoy solitude, keep to yourself and your own tent. You want to focus and not be disturbed. And basically it means to read a book from your own priority TBR. Well, obviously everything this month is kind of a priority TBR because we are trying to finish everything for the Reddit Fantasy Bingo Challenge, which is all due by March 31st. So I'm just going to leave that blank for now. We'll find out what we choose later on because literally anything in my TBR stack for this month will work for that because they are all priority TBR reads. So next up, we are going to dive really briefly into the all-month read-along readathon that is going on this month, and that is Realmathon 4.0. This is hosted by Cassidy over at Covers with Cass. And it is a month-long readathon. And so basically you have these 4 families on this island that, once again, there's a power struggle and who is going to take supreme power. And after reading all of the prompts that for your team or for your family that got you extra bonus points, I decided that I am joining Team Stag. The Stags control agriculture. Their magic is always a gift of touch. They can heal or harm things with their touch, which is why they make plants grow in the soil and otherwise deemed ungrowable. No one else can grow anything in Carrion City. They can change your emotions by touching you, sending calming thoughts or angry thoughts. The Stags are level-headed. They are nurturing in nature, but will protect what's theirs. They have strong family ties. They are shy, but strong-willed and passionate. They may come across as softer, but are just as tough as the others, just less eager to show that side. And honestly, when I read that description, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much me. So our team leads are going to be Tori between the pages and the raven-haired reader. And basically the team prompts that are going to get us the extra bonus points are to read a book with a non-human main character. So a fae, a vampire, a shifter, a witch, a ghost, anything like that. Or to read a book with plants on the cover. And I figured this is going to be perfect for us because everything that we're kind of reading this month for Reddit Fantasy Bingo Challenge is literally fantasy. So there are so many characters that are not human in these stories. So I figured that was going to get us the most extra bonus points to help us. So we will go ahead and dive into that. As you know, if you have been with Realmathon before, and if not, get ready for it. Basically, you read whatever you want that fills in kind of the prompts for your team. And then there is a nice little list here that she gives us that, is right here. All these nice little prompts here. That basically you are allowed to choose, I think it's 5 prompts per book from the list that will either add to your family's points or take away from another family's points. And basically that is considered your attack or your defense, which when you're doing based on the book that you read, obviously if you do your team bonus prompts, you get extra points to attack or defend to where one is standing. So we have done this, or I have done this since it started. I've been having a blast. So once again, Team Stag, hopefully we do good. Hopefully we can take it for the win. I mean, it sounds like a pretty incredible family to be a part of, not gonna lie. So we're gonna go with that and basically use our Reddit bingo fantasy books as our whatever we're reading and see what prompts we get as we go through it. Which then brings us to the final push to finish the Reddit Fantasy 2024 Bingo Book Challenge. This obviously went from 2024 into March 31st of 2025. We have our bingo board up there. I will put it up there with kind of the check mark showing what we've achieved so far. And then we're going to kind of go through what's left for us to go through. I mean, you'll see it up here, but we're going to go through it. So first up, we have all the way at the end there, we have a book for dreams. This is kind of left blank right now, just because I'm still deciding on what I want to read. Right now, it looks like I'm looking into getting The Raven Boys by Maggie. I'm just going to say Maggie S. because I am not going to be able to pronounce that last name. I am so sorry, but it's not happening, and I just would rather not mess it up and butcher it. But basically, I've found this book on a lot of lists that say that it has stuff to do with dreams. I'm not too sure about what it has because I don't know if the first book covers dreams or they start to go into dreams later in the series. So I don't know. I know my Libby app sometimes has it. We'll see what goes on with that. If not, I did read a book in February that does have dreams and nightmares in it. So I might just use that because I did read it. I don't know yet. So we'll see how the month goes on. We'll see if I have time really to tackle a new book, or just to use that one. So that's why I'm not really going to go into that because I don't really know which one I'm going to use for that one. So next up, we have our entitled animals pick again, which is to read a book that has an animal in the title. The animal does not have to appear in the story. But hard mode was the animal is in the title is a fantasy or a sci-fi creature like a unicorn, leviathan, kaiju, something like that. So I had picked The Cursed Unicorn by Alice Hemming. I had already kind of gone over this. This was kind of like a darker thing that basically said, in a faraway kingdom, a powerful king holds the throne and 10 royal knights under his trusted command. Fearsome warriors, they are led by Selene, the most exceptional of them all. When her brother Hero falls ill, she seeks the sorcerer Sidra, who practices dark magic. Sidra promises Selene the chance to save her brother's life, and the cost is her soul. When she refuses, Sidra curses her enraged, forcing her to take the form of a unicorn. Sidra makes Selene an outcast and a legend. Will Selene remain a unicorn forever, or will she break the magic that binds her? So it'll be pretty interesting. I mean, it seems like a short book. There's, whatever in it, but I had picked it up a while back on discount, and it just sounded kind of cool. So that is the one that we were going with for the entitled animals prompt. Okay, so next up we have bards. And this is a book in which the primary protagonist is a bard, musician, poet, storyteller. Hard mode is the character is called the bard. So I'm not going to do hard mode for that one. I know I've been trying to do hard mode for a lot of these, but it's really hard to see, you know, who is called just the bard when you're looking at lists of books with bards as characters. Originally, we were going to do The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which will still be on my list to finish at some point. It's just that is a really chunky book and I have a lot to get through. So I was trying to see if there was something else that might be a little bit shorter that I might be a little bit more interested in. Right now at the time, like I said, I still want to read The Name of the Wind because I've heard wonderful things about it. But we are going to pick up The Song of the Siren by Nicholas Qatar. This is book 1 in the Raven Sun, and it just had a really interesting premise for this. And it said, an evil omen clouds the sky, a song of lore returns. Can one man's quest save the world? Vorin can't help but believe the rumors. As blight ravages the countryside and darkness covers the sun, the young warrior of Vasilia hears the ancient spirit that devours souls. He feels powerless to fight the oncoming devastation until a mythical creature entrusts him with a long-forgotten song. Legend has it that such a song can heal the masses, overthrow kingdoms, and raise humans to divine beings. Armed with the memory of the song, Vorin must hunt down a dark spirit before it achieves its goal of immortality. His quest takes him through doorways to other worlds and puts him on a collision course with the seductive nymphs and riddling giants. With each step of the journey, the strength of the villainous spirit grows, as does Vorin's fear that the only way to save his world is to let it be destroyed. The Song of the Siren is an epic fantasy retelling of a Russian fairy tale, Prince Ivan and the Grey Wolf. So I just thought that it sounded really good. It sounds like a really great adventure that this character is going to be going on. I've seen a few animes where the premise was, you know, magic through songs and through voice. So it'll be curious to see what it does in a book and what this song is. And it'll be interesting enough to see if they actually like put the song in the book. So that is going to be what we're going to do for our Bards prompt. So next up, we are moving on to our third row, and we have Dark Academia, which is to read a book that fits the dark academia aesthetic. This includes school, university, secret societies, dark secrets. Does not have to be fantasy, but must be speculative. Hard mode is the school itself is entirely normal. So we are picking up The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page, and basically you have a college camp setting, and you have Kappa Rho Nu, or the Ravens, which seems like a typical sorority, but really it's kind of like a witches group. And basically it just kind of starts spiraling, and you have the main character who is Scarlet, and she's kind of a descendant. She's a legacy. Her mother was part of this group. And then it's just that her time in here, she starts uncovering secrets of the mysteries that are going on at this school. So it is dark academia. You do have it taking place at what seems to be a regular mundane school with witches. So we're going to go and read this one for our dark academia. Next up is a book I'm really excited for. It was one of my Christmas presents, and that is to read a book with this multi-POV. Read a book with at least 3 point of view characters. Hard mode is it has to be at least 5. This actually has 5. I counted as far as I'm sure I'm not going to do it now, but I'm pretty sure they had like 5 different characters. And that is Haunting Beauty by Kay Lorraine and Meg Ann. This just sounded really interesting because you have a young woman who is I think she's working in an asylum, and there's looks like 4 different people. So they're known as the dragon, the pirate, the lost soul, or the beast, and then her as well. And there's a serial killer on the loose, and you have these 4 patients, I guess you want to call them, in this sort of asylum type facility that are all vying for this main girl. And it basically says maybe what my beauty really needs is a villain at her side. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I don't know if they're really meant to be in the asylum or they're just locked up there because they're a little bit darker. This is definitely a morally gray, darker romance type side. but it does have the 5 POV views. And this is basically part of the mate games. And I think this is Death's story because they have like almost fairy tale characters like the dragon, the pirate, the lost soul, and the beast. But then they're also kind of called after, you know, some of the mythologies as well. And it was just really pretty because the cover was pretty. And then like when the chapters start, they have these beautiful flowers. So, it'll be interesting to see what this is really about. So we will choose that for our multi-POV. So next up, we have a book that was published in 2024. No reprints, new editions, basically. And then the hard mode was that it had to be the author's first published novel. So we had recently, when I did my February TBR, I talked about what this one is, and that is The Timeless Trials by A.C. Guess. I didn't get a chance to read it in February, so it's carrying on over into March. And basically, since it's a short robe, I'll go ahead and read it. In Orogi, the time is currency. You earn enough and you can live forever. Fall short and you meet an untimely death. Ray's time's running out when she is selected for the first female to participate in the Timeless Trials, the brutal games meant to entertain the rich. Ray knows it's a death sentence. Only one can survive the games. But if she can survive a little longer, if she can set aside her dangerous attraction to the prince's brother, she could win the grand prize of immortality. Stuck in a deadly competition, caught between two brothers in a game of royal politics, and tempted by love, Ray must find a way to buy a little more time before her time runs out. So this, I remember saying that this reminded me of the Justin Timberlake movie, and I think that's called In Time, where they had the little the little scan barcode or whatever on their wrist, and they used to work and earn time, or, you know, and anytime you wanted a coffee, you could do whatever, and you could. So I'm like, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that, but it sounded really good. I also saw that a couple people did read it in February and like were raving about it. I didn't read what they wrote because I didn't want to be, you know, I didn't want to go that route, but they were loving it. So that should hopefully be a good time for us to do that. So next up, we just read from we're going to read from 2024, but they also want us to read a book published in the 1990s. To read a book that was in the 90s, hard mode, the author or one of the authors has also published something in the last 5 years. I can't remember for the life of me if she published in the last 5 years. I think she did, but even so, we're just going to go with the book that's published in the 90s. If she happened to write something in the last 5 years, fantastic. And that is Amelia Atwater Rhodes. This is the Den of Shadows Quartet, but realistically, I'm only going to be reading In the Forest of the Night, which was her first book in here. I haven't read all of her books. I think I read 2 out of the 4 that are in here when they were standalone novels when I was a teenager. She wrote, and I believe she was published as a teen author, and it was just really well done. This was like pre-Twilight, so kind of the vampires in the high school setting was, you know, done here too. But I just remember liking it, so I ended up finding this and picking it up, and I want to reread it, one, to see if they were just as good as I remembered, but also because I know she is published in the 90s, and I don't know if they changed the stories since they did the bind up or whatnot, but it's a shorter story in here. But we'll go ahead and we're going to pick this one for our published in the 90s. So down to the 4th row, the one still left is Orcs, Trolls, and Goblins Oh My, which is to read a book featuring orcs, trolls, or goblins. Hard mode is their the main character. So I got this on loan from my mother-in-law, and that is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. I've heard really good things about it. I don't usually read books with orcs and trolls and goblins. It's just not one of my things that I listen to. I'm like, usually probably because they don't really give that much personality in a lot of books, but they're starting to now. So we're going to go ahead and read this one. And you basically just have Viv as a young battle-hungry orc, but her career with the notorious mercenary company Rackham's Ravens isn't going as planned. Wounded during a hunt for a powerful necromancer, she's packed off against her will to recuperate in the sleepy beach town of Merk, so far from the action that she worries she'll never be able to return to it. What's a thwarted soldier of fortune to do? So she spends her hours in a beleaguered, I can never tell if it's beleaguered or beleaguered. I know it's one of those tomato things. Bookshop in the company of a foul-mouthed proprietor is the last thing Viv would have predicted, but it may be, I cannot read, but it may be both exactly what she needs and the seed of changes she couldn't possibly imagine. Still, adventure isn't all that far away. A suspicious traveler in gray, a gnome with a chip on her shoulder, a summer fling, and an improbable number of skeletons prove Merk to be more eventful than Viv could ever have expected. So this is kind of, I think it's supposed to be a standalone in the Legends and Lattes kind of world. I never read Legends and Lattes, but we have this one I've been told is standalone. So we'll go ahead and go with that one. So next up is to read a space opera, read a sci-fi book that features a large cast of characters and has a focus on social dynamics, which may be political or personal in nature, set primarily in space or spaceships, hard mode, written by an author marginalized gender, so woman, trans, non-binary. So I chose Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston, and I'm not going to go through it too much, but basically this one gave me like Titan AE vibes, where you basically had a girl who is raised out in space. She has this robot companion that she kind of is in love with, and she's on the hunt for a piece to fix him because he's starting to fall apart and basically die, and she doesn't want to do that. So she's on the hunt to find these pieces to fix him. And there is kind of like a ship that they need to get to, and a rival guy who, I think he's a prince, something or other. He's higher up in the social chain as far as I know. And they both kind of butt heads, but then once they get to this spot, they find out that they're going to need each other, and they're going to kind of team up because it's going to be a them versus the world type of situation. And there's going to be secrets that are revealed. So it just kind of gave me that Treasure Planet Titan AE vibe, which I did like as far as like sci-fi fantasy type, which I normally, the space is just not, it's not my frontier, you know? So, but we're gonna go with this. I did read Ashley Poston before, and I liked her writing style and the fun that she had there. So we'll see if she can bring me into the sci-fi space opera world. So next up is to read an author of color. Read a book by any author of color. Hard mode must be debut novel published in the last 5 years. And for that, I had a perfect one that I've been wanting to get to, and that is A Virtue's Calling by Lexi Cook. Lexi is a young woman of color who I actually met at a book convention, and this was her debut book. She was super nice, super sweet, a little shy, which was adorable. But she was really, really nice. And basically this seems like a book that's set amongst two different timelines that kind of seem to merge. One of the characters goes into one of the other ones, I believe. But they are all kind of dealing, one is a more, gave off like a more tribal magical fantasy world. And then you have a more modern world. And it's just about how the two worlds kind of collide in this kind of race to save to save themselves, to, I don't know if it's to save the world, to save themselves, but there is going to be a high stakes with it in this convergence of the two sides. And obviously it had a very stunning, beautiful cover. I love the colors in this. She did go ahead and sign it as well. Like I said, she was very sweet, and I've been meaning to get to this book for a while. And this is her debut book as well. So hopefully I can get to it and have a great time and just let you guys know what I think. Okay, we are getting closer to the end. So next up, basically we have to read a book on survival. Read a book in which the primary goal of the characters and story focuses on survival, surviving apocalypse, war, high school, blah, 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 blah. Hard mode is that it cannot be due to super viruses or pandemics. So once again, I borrowed this one from my mother-in-law, and we are going to finally tackle The Fifth Wave. I have not read this, nor have I seen the movies. It has been a while because I knew I wanted to read the book. And this is basically a teenage girl surviving in, I think it's an alien invasion. It's not a pandemic and it's not a super virus. So it is a book on survival. So we will be doing this one. I think this is the chunkiest book that I have, honestly, for the month. So down to our last row, there are really only 2 books here that I need to get done. And the first one is a book set in a small town where the primary setting is a small town. Hard mode is the small town can be a real or fictional, but the broader setting must be in our real world and not a secondary world or a fictional world. And so for that, I am picking up book 1 in the Cousins O'Dwyer trilogy, and that is Dark Witch by Nora Roberts. This does take place in a small town, I believe in Ireland, that is an actual real town. And this is basically about a young woman who goes to Ireland, or there's about a young woman who I believe she goes to Ireland to kind of discover her family's past and heritage, and that there is magic that is something that's descended through their family line. And so basically she ends up meeting a romantic interest there, and an ancient evil is lurking, and it's going to come about, and it's going to be how can she claim her magic and her heritage and fight against this evil. So very interesting. I've read from Nora Roberts before, and I had mixed reviews. Some was really good, some was really bad. So last up, finally, for our Fan It Ready See Bingo is to read 5 SSF short stories, any 5 short stories or novelettes. Hard mode is to read an entire anthology or collection. So we are reading a book I ended up getting from a discount store, and it has a multitude of different authors, but that is My Big Fat Supernatural Wedding, where it just has all sorts of crazy paranormal, supernatural, romancy things. And we have some of the authors are L.A. Banks, Jim Butcher, Rachel Kane, P.N. Elrod, Esther M. Freisner, Laurie Handelin, Charlene Harris, Charlene Kenyard, Susan Kernard. So there's going to be a lot of different stories, a lot of different types of writing styles. And who knows, maybe through a short story, I might find myself with a new favorite author. I have read from Charlene Harris before. I read some of the Sookie Stackhouse. I DNF'd the series. Not because of how it was written. I just didn't like places where the characters were going. So she kind of lost me on some of that. I have wanted to read from Jim Butcher. I've heard wonderful things about him. So maybe we will, like I said, we'll find some new authors to look into their backlog and start picking up. But yeah, that is basically it for March. There is a lot going on, but luckily for us, everything seems to be something that we can kind of piggyback off on. So we have our Cocky Hero pick, our Magical Readathon pick that has yet to be determined. It could be any of the books I just mentioned because they're priority TBRs. All these books that I've mentioned are also going to fulfill the prompts for Reddit Fantasy Bingo, as well as get us points in Realmathon. So it is going to be a little bit of chaos in March. I don't know how I'm going to film for it. We will see. I might try to piggyback and see if I can do a weekly catch up once we find out what places we're in and keep you posted on that. But hopefully we'll get it all done, and the Reddit Fantasy Bingo that has been a year-long pursuit will be complete. But other than that, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what readathons or challenges you are participating in the month of March. If you are doing any of the same as me, whether you are doing the Reddit Fantasy Bingo, let me know where you're at, if you've already completed all your challenges or what you have left to do. Also, if you are doing Realmathon, are you Team Stag? Are you going to be my rival? Which, you know what, it's okay. We'll cheer each other on. It's all in good fun. But let me know what you guys are doing. If there is a book that you are planning to, like a new release you're planning to pick up, let me know what it is. I'm always looking for new books, obviously. And let me know if there's something you're really excited to read for the month. But as March heads out, I know some of us are going to start getting those wonderful things called allergies. So if you need to take your medicine, remember to take your medicine for your allergies. Hopefully they don't get to be too bad. Hopefully your eyes don't itch too bad or burn too bad, your throat, all the wonderful symptoms. Hopefully they are minimal for you guys. I know we will be going through it here because the streets turn green and there's clouds of green in the sky with all the dust and pollen that goes on. So it is going to be fun times ahead for us here. But stay safe, stay warm, stay cool, whichever the weather, because it's changing, and stay hydrated. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.